Rod is not. We know Rod's not coming.
And Chris isn't either.
Chris isn't either.
He's got scouts for the next 2 months.
Okay, we're live. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the June 14th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I will give you a brief overview of how the meeting works if you've never had the pleasure of spending an evening with us. You are here because you are asking us to take an existing rule of zoning and change it for you. And you're going to explain to us what particular difficulties you have with the existing one. And that's why you need to have it changed. I will tell you, if it's granted, it will stay with the property. It's not yours. You can't take it and move someplace. We will do the hearing this way. We have a lot of variances tonight. We have 7 different ones, so it's going to take a while. We will read the request. The city will explain the existing zoning rules that you are asking to have declared null and void for you. We will ask you to come to the podium and testify to us why you need to have this granted, what particular difficulties it causes for you. And then the board will ask you questions. And after that, we will go into a private hearing. Everybody stays in the room and we just talk among ourselves and you hear everything we say. We'll come back into the public and then we will vote, and you will know tonight before you leave whether or not your request for your variance was granted. If it was not granted, you have 30 days to file in the Court of Common Pleas. So if you're going to be testifying tonight, would you please stand and be sworn in? And it doesn't cost anything, so stand and be sworn in. Ready?
Maybe he's not up yet. He's getting there.
I understand that. Trust me. Raise your right hand and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, you're all sworn in now. You just signed up for the Army, but don't let that bother you. Okay, the first order of business is the minutes, and I need an approval for the minutes as mailed of the May 10th meeting.
Move to approve.
Seconded.
Is there, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes approved. The next item, which will take just a little bit of time, is the election of officers, chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary.
Madam Chairman, may I make a suggestion?
You certainly may.
In light of the fact that we have 7 items in front of us tonight in a lengthy meeting possibly, and that one of the positions is of some difficulty that we might see. So I would like to propose that we keep the same group that we have as well. And as for secretary, I'd like to offer Jay Stock.
If there's a motion, is there a second?
Seconded.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, welcome to the group, Jay. And it's nothing against the current secretary.
No.
Trust me, he's been very good. Okay, the first variance we're talking about tonight is Ronald Simon, 1019 Sand Ridge Road, has requested a variance to allow the construction of a 12-foot by 12-foot addition, a deck, which would encroach 11 feet, 8 inches into the 30-foot required rear yard setback to the south. Heather? You'll have to wait for technical difficulties
Yes,
here.
my apologies. I'm a little behind. Okay, so this request is under the current zoning code, section 150.16, bulk and density regulations. This section determines the minimum setbacks, minimum lot area. In this case, it's zoned R2 single family. And so you'll see here the minimum rear yard setback is 30 feet. Here's an aerial view of the property highlighted. And then using pictometry, you can see a view there of the rear yard. And then looking at the side, the other side of the property, and then the front of the property. Here's a picture of the front of the property. Here's looking from the side into the rear yard. And then here's looking at the rear yard there. Also in your packet, there was a copy of the permit when the house was built. And that copy was provided so you can see the house was built right at the minimum 30-foot rear yard setback from the beginning. So really any type of addition to the property, including a deck, would need a variance. So I just want to point out why that was in your packet. The sketches in your packet, along with pictures that the applicant provided of the back door showing the current concrete staircase. And then he had a rendering of the deck, and you can certainly ask him questions about that further. We did receive one email from an adjoining property owner, and I will read that into the record. And I also put copies at your seat. So the address to the Planning Department, Bowling Green, Ohio, dated June 1st, 2023, to whom it may concern. My name is Mark Tyson, and I live at 1013 Sandridge Road, Bowling Green. I am writing this letter in regards to a notice that I received about my neighbor, Ron Simon, requesting a variance for his property. I have absolutely no objection to the requested variance to construct a deck at the rear of the property, and in fact, feel 100% confident that the addition will be an enhancement. Since Ron and his family moved into the property, they have done nothing but improve their property. A few years ago, my neighbor to the east, Jason Miller, requested a similar variance, which I also supported. And in fact, that addition has been very nice as well. I would respectfully ask that you vote to allow Ron's variance request to go forward. Sincerely, Mark A. Tyson, and they left his phone number. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the administrative code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed, first class mail, to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedure requirements for the hearing have been met.
Thank you. Mr. Simon? Would you state your name and address, and then you can begin telling us when you're using the mic, please? Because we're on TV, so we have to use the mics.
Ron and
Yeah.
Becky Simon, and 1019 Sandridge Road. And we moved back to Bowling Green after being gone for 50 years, basically. We're living here now. We moved in November 16th. And everything in the house is great. It's ADA compliant. It's got wider doorways. We needed one floor because of some disabilities. So the back of the house just never works right. So we take the dog out. There's railings on both sides. You got a 3-foot door that swings out with the dog that doesn't like the rails. So a lot of times we have to walk her around the front of the house to get her to the backyard. So we thought, well, we need a solution for this. We had a gentleman come over that we knew that did contract work, and we hashed it out and said, well, a 12 by 12 deck will do what we need to do back there and come out flat into the landing instead of us tripping and falling through the railing or something else. So we just that's what we're looking for. And we'll make it nice. It'll look nice. We're using Trek and all the latest stuff back there, so it'll be nice. So that's what we're asking you to do. I have a daughter that lives with us that has some disabilities and some health problems, and she can't go down those stairs. So that's the kind of things we're asking for.
Okay. Is there anyone else here who wishes to address this? Members of the board, do you have any questions for Mr. Simon?
Do not.
Thank you for the drawings of what it's going to look like. It's a very nice packet.
Thank you.
No further questions?
It's just clear to see the
Yeah.
reason for the hardship.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to close the public hearing and we can discuss it among ourselves. If there's aren't any questions or comments, then I'm going to open it back up. And may I have a motion?
I also move that we accept.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, will the secretary call the roll, please?
David Flieger,
Yes.
Jay Sockman.
Yes.
Matt Bostorff, yes. Judy Ennis.
Yes,
Kobe Johnson.
Yes.
your request for your variance has been granted. You just have to get the necessary paperwork from the city planning department. Okay? Thank you very much. You can leave. Unless you really want to have an exciting evening and stay here with us. You probably should be. Okay, we have a board member who is going to recuse himself. We really do like
I mean,
Matt.
you
We're
just
just
sit down
not
there.
getting rid of
Should
him.
I take?
No, yes, maybe you should. You can do, you could, oh, you're gonna do it?
No, that's
Oh,
fine. Go ahead.
yeah, you can do down.
Practice. so go ahead.
Yeah. You don't take the job, you're gone. See. This variance is Rob and Cara Hinkle, 210 South Enterprise Street, have requested a variance to allow the construction of a 14-foot by 24-foot accessory building, a garage, which would encroach 4 feet into the 10-foot required side yard setback to the north and would encroach 2 feet into the 20-foot required rear yard setback to the west. Heather?
Thank you. So under section 150.90 rear yards, this is where it basically regulates accessory structures. This one's a little unique because they do have an alley in the back, and the code does allow that half the alley can be considered as part of that minimum required rear yard. So just to let you know, if you were adding the numbers and maybe it didn't seem right, so that again, they could use half that alley, and that's under 150.90A. And then under B, accessory buildings, number 2, in residential districts and other districts where residential uses are allowed, an accessory building with an area equal of or less than 160 square feet may be located no closer than the side or rear yard, 5 feet from the side and rear yard lot line and may not exceed 12 feet in height. In this case, it's an accessory building that is larger than 160 square feet, and it shall be no closer than 20 feet to the primary structure, 20 feet to the rear lot line, and 10 feet to the side property lines. The structure may not exceed 18 feet in height. In this case, it is the 20 feet minimum from the primary structure. It would again be the 20 feet from the rear lot line and 10 feet from the side property line. Here's an aerial view of the property. Again, you can see that alley running behind there. Using pictometry, here's a view of the side of the house that'd be facing north. Here's a view of the front of the house. Here's a view of the back of the house. So you can see that that would be the existing garage that they would demolish. Here's another view of the side of the property. Here's a picture of the front of the home. Here's a view of the back of the house. Again, that would be the garage they would tear down and wish to replace and make it a little larger. I believe that's stated in their application, and you can see on their site plan. Another view of the back of the property. Another view of the back. Here is the sketch that was part of your packet. Also, as part of the packet, there was a submittal of a few letters from adjoining property owners. So I will just note without reading each one that these are in support of the variance. They're basically the same exact support letter and just signed by the adjoining neighbor. So one of them is Elizabeth Burrows, dated May 11th, 2023, and she owns and lives at 320 Clough Street. The other one is David Johnston, manager, Slatner LLC. And he is the owner of 214 South Enterprise, again, indicating his approval on May 12th of 2023. And then another letter from, I believe that says Sheila Wentz and John Wentz Jr. They live at 218 South Enterprise Street, and they indicated their approval on April 30th of 2023. As part of your packet too, the owners also provided some pictures that they likely will describe as part of their testimony. We also received another email that wasn't in your packet. Actually, 2 emails. So this one was sent to the planning department from Father Tom McQuillan on Thursday, June 8th. It regards to the variance for 210 South Enterprise. I, the resident of the house at 324 Clough Street, under the name of Bishop Leonard Blair, Diocese of Toledo, have no objection to the changes the Hinkles are proposing. In fact, I view it as an improvement to the neighborhood and welcome it. Signed, Father Tom McQuillan, pastor of St. Aloysius, 150 South Enterprise Street, Bowling Green, Ohio, 43402. And then we received a second email dated Friday, June 2nd, 2023, to the planning department regarding 210 South Enterprise. It states, we as owners of 211 South Enterprise have no objections or concerns to the requested variance requested by Rob and Cara Hinkle, signed Ronald and Sharon Gargis. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the administrative code are posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed first class mail to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedure requirements for the hearing have been met.
Thank you. Mr. or Mrs. Hinkle? I have to say, this is the most professional letters that were sent out with including the sketches and everything.
We wanted to make it easy for our
You
neighbors.
did.
I'm Kara Hinkle, 2 South Enterprise Street.
I'm Rob Hinkle.
So basically the garage that's there has seen better days. We want to replace it and make it just 2 foot wider. We did consider shifting it in the yard, but our alley floods significantly that we have shared pictures with.
Yes, we saw those.
So if relocating the driveway, then we would literally be building more in a flood zone. So that's our biggest hurdle with relocating it.
We're concerned if we move the one, it could be potentially flooding into our garage. But then on top of that, it could actually potentially cause more trouble for our,
Displace the water for our
people who
neighbors.
live around it
Yeah.
as well. So we're a little worried that it could be twofold. There is some additional fencing that would need to be adjusted as well. But the water issue, is the main concern.
Okay. Anybody else? And the board, do you have any questions for the Hinkle? Anyone else to testify? You have a lot of positive endorsements here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you-
Any conversations among yourselves, gentlemen, or not?
None.
Okay. Man, this might be a quicker evening than I planned on. I'm going to close the public hearing and if anybody want to say anything in private?
No, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does,
Because it's flooding. They need to address the flooding.
especially the
Besides
water,
that.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
As well as an improvement.
Okay, we'll come back and may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
No.
Call the roll, please,
Yep.
Mr. Secretary?
Judy Annis,
Yes.
Obie Johnson,
Yes.
David Flager,
Yes.
Jay Sockman, yes. Matt Bostorff,
He
Yes,
recused
recused.
himself. Your request for variance is granted. Thank you for this information you supplied to us and make sure you get the necessary paperwork tomorrow from Heather in her office, okay? All right. And you too may leave if you want to, if you don't want to spend an evening with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Nice job.
Oh,
The third variance is Ferry Trummel, God bless you. 11 Darlin Drive has requested a variance to allow the expansion of the existing driveway expanded an additional 3 feet, making the total size 21 foot by 81 feet, which would encroach 3 feet into the 3-foot side back to the side property line to the north, setback to the side property line to the north. Heather?
Thank you. So under the zoning code, section 150.55, street parking, general provisions in all districts except the central business district unless otherwise noted in 150.55 through 150.59. There shall be provided at such time as any use made of land or any building is construction or enlarged, off-street parking as designated in this chapter. Under D, off-street parking or loading areas in any district shall be 1, no closer than 3 feet to any lot line for any 1 or 2 family dwelling. We gave you a copy of a variance that was issued for the property on August 15th of 1979. And that was to allow the construction of an attached garage, which will not meet the required side yard setback on the north side of the property. And also a copy of the sketch that was part of that. And that helped determine with this driveway expansion that it would encroach up to the property line, at least given historically that site plan and what was in the file. We also gave you some history of the driveway. It was addressed to you from Jason Westgate, Code Enforcement Officer, regarding the variance request for 11 Darlin Drive, which was dated May 30th, 2023. This was to provide some background information on the request for the expansion of the driveway. The driveway is already completed, and on May 31st of 2023, a project inspector in Public Works discovered the work being done in the right of way and issued a stop work order. He did issue that to the contractor that was doing the work and also inform the planning department that the new driveway was happening at this location and wanted to make sure it had a permit. So on April 4th, 2023, Jason Westgate researched the address file and found this approved a variance. And again, it determined that garage setback. He did not find a permit on file. So on April 5th, he sent a letter to the property owner for not obtaining his zoning certificate along with a copy of the application. On April 25th, a second notice was sent for not responding. And then a firm deadline was put in that letter on or before May 5th of 2023. As of that May 5th deadline, no response was received from the homeowner. On May 11th, he issued a civil citation for not obtaining the required zoning certificate. On May 22nd, the property owner came into the office to submit the application for the zoning certificate. It was determined at that time the new driveway was indeed expanded to the north, 2 feet past the garage, which meant the new driveway edge had a 0 lot line going all the way to the property line. The property owner was informed that he would be required to obtain a variance from the zoning board of appeals because the new pavement did not meet the required 3-foot setback. The owner did fill out the variance application, and because the deadline to apply for variance was the same day, so we wanted to get that going. And then here's an aerial view of the property showing where that's at. Using pictometry, kind of hard to see sometimes when we use this, but at least gives you an idea of the property layout. This would be looking at the rear of the property. This would be the front. Here would be the side of the property. And then here's a picture of the driveway. We did not receive any written correspondence from anybody, so I don't have anything to report on that. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the administrative code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed, first class mail, to the tax mailing address of the owner and joining property owners. Therefore, all the procedure requirements for the hearing have been met.
Thank you. Sir, would you please identify yourself and tell your address so the court reporter?
Harry Rummel, 11 Darland Drive. Harry Rummel, 11 Darland Drive.
Okay. And what particular difficulties are you facing that you had to?
The difficulties that I was facing, well, first off, the existing driveway that was there before had major ruts and dips and this and that in it. I also work for a towing company, which requires driving a commercial vehicle, and I bring that home quite often. So one, my driveway wasn't wide enough to occupy that and the other vehicles on the other side of the driveway. And before that, even just parking 2 cars next to each other, the width of the driveway from before, people were getting out, stepping in, mud on either one side of the driveway or the other, which that caused issues as well. I just been like the last 3 years, I just been updating this and that for the house. And it just, I needed a wider driveway,
Okay.
plain and simple.
Was there any reason why you were so late in responding to the
Well,
city after
And
numerous issues?
I apologize for that. I was under the impression, because I've never done anything like this before. That's why I hired somebody to do the driveway. I figured he took care of everything. So I had no clue what I was doing here.
Maybe you better talk to him.
Absolutely.
Members of the,
I'd like to ask, the arborvitae or whatever those bushes are those on your property or is that the neighbors?
The trees to the north,
The north side of your?
those are John's.
Okay, so will they have to be removed?
No.
That's the finished driveway.
if that's finished, he's already done it.
That's the finished driveway
He's
right
already
there
done
it. Okay.
that they're showing.
I thought you were gonna add 3 feet onto that.
That's right,
No.
John.
Exist.
No, the existing driveway literally went right up to the edge of my garage. Then, like they said, 1979, there was a variance or whatever, and that brought 1 foot over, which back then, or up to prior to this driveway, put 2 feet from the driveway and edge of garage to the property line, which was out of the 3 foot variance already.
Anyone else have any questions? Comments? Is there anyone here? Sir, would you like to testify? Come on. Yes, please. Give your name and address.
He goes,
Thank you. My name's John McAvoy. I'm 431 West Poe Road. My property is alongside of Perry's. In recent years, Perry's done a lot of work to the property to make it a little more appearance better. The driveway was a major issue as far as the way it was kind of ponding by the garage door. We had talked some years back about him coming on over and using the property. Since then, I never really thought that would happen, but when I got the notice from the city that there was an issue, we were both kind of surprised because the work had already been done. The work that was done actually makes the property look a lot better. As far as the trees, I had some 4 large pines that used to be there by the other homeowner, and it started covering Perry's property, and I ended up whacking them down by a professional tree company. But I planted those just to kind of make coverage for my garage, which at that time didn't look the best. So we've been trying to make our property line look better for each other. The work that's been done on Perry's driveway for 2 reasons. One, it helps him with the size of the driveway, but also for the draining, because I know a lot of times when there was heavy rain, it would kind of pond and kind of flood up the garage, if I'm right, Perry. So I think what he's done, even though it may not have been the right channels, actually enhanced his property as well as my property because the appearance of neighbors. So I have no problem with what's already been done. It's almost too late. I hate to see him tear it up just to make a matter of 3-foot property line. But as far as anything else that Perry has done for the property, if he wants to enlarge in his driveway, go to the south. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody have any on the board have any questions, comments?
my only comment is, I do think it looks nice and it does help for your drainage, but I just wish, I think we all wish that people would be more informed on permits and stuff. I mean, it's just one thing that I think we need to make everyone in the city more aware of.
Right. I would totally agree. And we need to make the contractors and the workers, one of the first things they should ask is, do you have a permit for that? Or am I responsible for getting the permit? So please keep that in mind. If you do, anybody else does any type of construction, make sure the permits are there, even though you've hired somebody, make sure they've gotten the permit.
But as a hardship for the water in his garage, I would like to make a motion to.
Okay, let's go back into,
Go back in the.
okay. Now I'm going to come back into the public and I would entertain a motion.
I moved to.
Okay. And I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, will the secretary call the roll, please?
Hobie Johnson,
Yes.
Dave Flieger,
Yes.
Jay Sockman,
Yes.
Matt Bostorff, yes. Judy Ennis.
Yes. Please go and get the necessary permits from the city before you do anything else. The request for your variance was granted after the fact. Thank you. Okay.
If I may, Madam Chairman, that is an issue that really needs to be stressed
Yeah.
because what happens is the zoning board of appeals is put in the middle of trying to fix something that's been done. And it's been done apparently properly, but nevertheless without permission. And so we're in the process of trying to help people, residents of our community, and yet we also need to let people know that there are rules and regulations for us to follow and that they should be followed.
And thank you for coming as a neighbor and supporting him.
Thank you.
Okay, the fourth variance is Richard and Miranda Zera, 1330 South Savoy Avenue, have requested the variance to allow the construction of a 15-foot by 17-foot addition, a deck, which would encroach 5 feet 6 inches into the 30-foot required rear yard setback to the north. Heather?
Thank you. So under section 150.16 of the zoning code, bulk and density regulations, this property is zoned R2 single family residential. So here this gives our table of the minimum setbacks. In this case, the rear yard minimum is 30 feet, and that does include a deck. That's considered an addition as to the house. Here's an aerial view of the property. You'll see it's at the corner of Lafayette and Savoy. Using pictometry, here's the front of the house. Basically, again, the frontage is on Savoy there. Here's looking at the side of the house. Here's looking at the other front yard, which would be, again, Lafayette. And here's a picture of the rear property. Here's a picture of the front of the home from Savoy. And then here's kind of angled towards the side of the house, looking into the rear yard. And then here's looking from Lafayette into the rear yard. And here's looking, trying to look a little closer into the property. And you will see there, you can tell the deck looks like just maybe the base of that was started. And then there were a couple sketches in the file. I tried to highlight there the deck location and dimensions. And then there was another sketch that was zoomed in a little further in your packet. We did not receive any written correspondence from any of the letters that were sent to the property owners adjoining. And advertising.
We lived across the street for 23 years, moved to Pennsylvania and New Hampshire for 15, and then we decided we wanted to come back here to retire.
Well, we're glad you came back.
So, yeah, thank you. So anyhow, we wanted to do the deck because unfortunately, my wife has gotten old. No,
You can hit him if you want to.
Down a little bit in case something happens.
as we're both hitting the mid 70s, we find that I've had 4 back operations and my wife has had 3,
Ooh.
plus an artificial knee. And we put in a pool a few years ago, the above ground pool, and we can't go up the stairs anymore into that. So we needed to build a deck so that we can have long, low height stairs to get in. So that's the reason for the expansion.
Well, it sounds like a pretty particular request for a variance.
Okay.
Anybody else here wish to testify to this?
Oh,
Were
Yeah,
you
sworn
sworn in? Okay, you want to just stand and raise your right hand and I can swear you in real quick and you can talk. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth to help you God? Now you can talk and you can't stop her, so.
I just wanted to say that it's really
you gotta
hard.
say your name and
Oh, my name is Miranda Zera. I'm the other owner of the property.
And you need to stand and talk into the mic, please, because you're on television.
Oh, God. Anyway, it was also important for us to have a different exit from our back. We had sliding doors and we had to go down 2 steps to get to ground level. And that's been very difficult. And we didn't have any railings or anything. This raised it so that we just walk out the door and onto the deck. And then we're okay.
I can understand that.
Thank you. And we should have gotten our variance first, but we didn't.
We didn't know it needed a zoning variance because the pool is closer to the back property
Right.
than what the deck is. And the pool had already been approved and is there. So we didn't think about doing this.
We certainly hope so. Hey, is there anyone else here who wishes to address this? Members of the board, do you have any questions for?
Do not.
No.
Hey,
No, just same thing.
Same
When I
thing,
was
yeah.
driving around, looking at all these things and I already see the progression of the deck, you know, I'm like, man. you know, I know, I understand. I just.
well, that's good. At least you said-
I see that you do have a hardship that, so
yeah.
just,
Okay, I'm going to go into the public hearing again. Gentlemen, anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, may I have a motion?
I'll move to accept.
Or second?
second,
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, will the secretary call the roll, please?
Jay Sockman,
yes.
David Flieger,
Yes.
Matt Bostorff, yes. Judy Ennis.
Yes.
Kobe Johnson,
Yes.
Your request for your variance has been granted. Please remember to get your necessary paperwork from the city's office. And in the future, call first, okay? You know, the signs call before you dig. There's something to those. Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Because it was the person who told us that we needed.
Yeah, well, good for that oops person. Thank you. The request, the number 5 request is a little different. This is David Simcoe of 429 West Wooster Street has requested an appeal to the opinion and interpretation of the zoning code. The interpretation was made by the city attorney. The assistant city attorney is here tonight with us. The planning director, who's of course here with us, concerning the construction and use of an amateur radio tower in the R2 single family zoning district. So what this variance is asking us to do is to overturn an appeal that has been made. And that's exactly what they're asking us to do. If the appeal is granted, either party has the 30 days to file with the Court of Common Pleas. So Heather?
Sure, thank you. So give you a bit of history. So back in April 7th of 2010, we received an opinion